I enjoy using Anchor podcasting services. For one, it's an easy setup. Secondly, you can do everything on the same platform, which includes record and then add music to your podcast if you like. And once your podcast has been saved, you can then distribute it to other platforms with the click of a button. And did I mention that it's free? You couldn't ask for anything better than this. Thank you for tuning into Bringing the Heat with Regina Weston. Here we inspire and deal with topics that matter. Stay tuned. Bringing the Heat listeners. You can visit my website at www.reginaweston.com. And while you are there, you can find all books written by Regina Weston. Let me start this off by saying, I am not your mama nor your daddy, so you don't have to take my advice. But take my advice. It'll save you a lot of heartache and tears. So, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Okay, today I want to talk about sex. Everybody loves to talk about sex. So let's get into it. I want to speak to our young girls. And I want to speak to our young girls because so much is going on. And it appears to be that everybody is preaching. Be free. Be free with your body. Do what makes you feel good. Young lady, I'm here to tell you that everything that feels good is not good for you, okay? I want to encourage you to be different. You do not have to be and do what everybody else around you is doing. When you engage in sexual activities, you open your mind, your body, and your spirit to a lot of things. Now, I have witnessed this for myself. So one day, me and my dad was at a park, and I thought they were shooting like a music video because this girl jumped out her car, beautiful young lady, beautiful, and she just started like dancing and grinding, but she was made up like one of them young girls that I would see on Instagram. And so I'm just looking like everybody else in the park is doing, looking. Then she turns around and says to my father, who was just looking a little too hard, she turns around and says to him, "Don't look at it if you can't buy it." And he was like, "What you say?" She said, "You heard what I said. Don't look at it unless you can buy it." I was like, wow. And you know what? That's the mindset of a lot of our young women today. Sex is no longer sacred. It's a thing to do. It's an activity shared with multiple people. And that's really sad in hindsight because everything you do catches up with you when you get older. When you have multiple partners, sex partners, that will be some wear and tear on your body. And not to get all biblical with you, but the truth be told, our bodies was only built for one man in mind. And that's whoever God ordained to be your husband from the beginning of time. That's true. But we live in a society that promotes sex. It's in the commercials. It's on the billboards. It's on the movie screen. You can't escape it. And it sends the message to our women that we are just sex objects, here to please men. So with that mindset, it seems as though some of our women was like, or are like, if he gonna get off, I'm gonna get off too. And I just want to tell you, you don't have to go along with the go along. It's okay for you to be different. It's okay for you to set boundaries. And another thing, Tommy from the morning show, Steve Harvey morning show, he has a show where couples come together and they're trying to find love. And one of the main themes to me is that all these men and the women are coming on this show saying that they're looking for love. But I'm going to speak about the men. We're going to put a pause on the women. The men, some of them, they want to be able to taste the cookie before they bring somebody to the altar. So we're talking about premarital sex. And because they want to make sure it's good. I'm like, what? Why do I have to allow you to test drive my body in order for you to deem me worthy of having you as a mate long term? What happened to falling in love with my brain? Falling in love with my heart? Falling in love with my character? Falling in love with the boundaries and the morals and the integrity that I have? Why do you have to test drive? Why do you have to test drive my equipment in order for me to even enter the door of your good graces? I'm not just going to jump on the men, because there have been some women on this show who stated that they would not marry a man unless they were able to have intercourse with them so they can see what he was working with. Now, the issue I have with that, and I've always stated this is just a personal observation. I always believe that you should not marry for sex, because you always have to take in consideration that things happen in life. So if your relationship is built on good sex and something comes in there and interrupt that program, such as an illness, and that person cannot perform, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You're gonna leave that individual because you have centered your whole existence, your whole state of being with that person on being able to satisfy you? So when you get in relationships, you really have to think deeper than that. It always should be a what if. But the flip side of that conversation is, why are people so hot in the pants that they can't hold out? That they can't get to know someone without test driving and experimenting with each other tools? And then the other part about that is that we're going to speak from a woman's viewpoint. I don't care how hard these women say they are, somebody always catches feelings. There's no such thing as a booty call. Somebody always catches feelings. And you know why they catch feelings? Because when you are intimate with somebody, you are creating a soul tie. That's biblical. Two people are coming together. Y'all creating a soul tie. And so it makes it hard for two people to really break up. Why? Because your bodies crave that other individual body. Especially if y'all both deem each other as good sex partners. Okay? So if you're not ready, don't play with fire, because you will get burnt. And from a biblical perspective, sex should be in marriage. I have to say that because that's what I believe. Now, have I always done what I've been taught? No. Who has? However, I'm older. I have learned some things. And if I could turn back the hands of time, child, your girl will be a nun, a Catholic nun. I would have left all this sex stuff. I will be pure as this white as snow. Because when you open yourself up to sex, there's a whole lot of other stuff that get in the mix. That's where heartache comes in, heartbreak comes in, tears come in, unwanted pregnancies come in, unwanted diseases come in. When you open yourself up to sex and you're not mature enough, you're not responsible, there are a lot of factors that come into play that a lot of people do not want to deal with. They don't want to talk about those things. They just want to talk about, let's have a sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Yeah, but what happens after the sex? And people want more. And this day and time, people crazy. People are cray-cray. They get addicted to you. They become controlling and possessive. You have to be very careful who you open your legs to, who you allow to ride you, and who you allow to stick you down. That's all I'm saying. I just wanted to have this conversation because our young girls, they off the chain. Our young boys, they off the chain. But since I advocate for our young women, I'm going to gear this conversation towards our women. Young ladies, baby, it is okay for you to tell that man, I do not want to engage in no premarital sex. Why? Because my body is the temple of God. And I don't want to do it. And if you can't wait for me, y'all already know my favorite word, deuces. Watch the dust hit my back. You know why? Because any respectable man that really respects you and honors you and cares about you and loves you, he will love you enough to wait. He will not try to pressure you into doing anything that you do not want to do, or anything that you're not ready to do, or even put your life at risk for diseases or unwanted pregnancies. And I find that in today's time, we have a lot of selfish individuals. I'm sure y'all women have heard, I don't want to use a condom. It don't feel right. Okay, you don't want to use a condom. It doesn't feel right. But if you're having sex with Jane and Susie and sometimes Joe, then you open up the door to diseases, unwanted pregnancies. Because when you don't take the necessary precautions to protect yourself, you're really just playing Russian roulette with your life. So the main objective of this discussion I'm having with you is that you don't have to do it. And if you are going to engage in something, don't think about the moment only. Think about the long-term effects. Because a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women use sex as a weapon. They think that if they do whatever they can to please this man, that they got the magic punani, and that it's going to put a spell on him, and it's going to make him want to cut himself off from everybody else that he's dipping and diving in just to be with you. And so you lower your standards. You do things that you really don't want to do to have this individual. And I'm here to tell you that 1, it's not worth it. 2, it's not going to work. Okay? I have never in my life, 50 years, seen or heard where sex have kept a man. Have kept him to the degree that he stayed with you, or kept him to the degree that he no longer went out and wanted to taste new waters. So make wise decisions, young ladies. Know that your body is precious. Know that you are valuable. Know that you need to be treated with respect, love, and honor and admiration. And know that you are worthy to have someone to wait on you and to wait for you. And it's okay to save yourself for marriage. Now, don't be a hottie. Don't be a hottie. Because these new women with all this freedom, oh, I'm going to get me some. I never in my life seen some women, so hot in the panties. I really wonder about this. And I'm saying, are they just doing this because they want to be a part of the in crowd? Are they doing this because there's something deeper going on? Because sometimes when certain women lack things, emotional things, sex becomes a comfort. So to be with a man, to be intimate with a man, it makes them feel loved, it makes them feel needed, it makes them feel wanted. So it's not so much about the sex. It's more about the intimacy of the touching, the feeling, the kissing, the hugging. See, young ladies, you have to know the difference. Don't use your body as a tool to fill a void, because you're worth more than that, for 1. And 2, you can never fill a void. Only God can come into your life and plaster. I'm going to use the metaphor of holes. Like you have holes in the wall, and you have to have plaster or putty to come and fill those holes so that the wall can look better. But then you have to get a sanding scraper and sand it so it can blend in with the rest of the wall. Only God can heal those areas of your life to make you feel whole, to make you feel love. Sex is not going to do it. It's a temporary fix. A temporary fix. I know it's been a long time since I've been in junior high school. But I know when I was in junior high school, I had young ladies that were engaging in intercourse. And they used to try to make me feel bad because I wasn't doing the same thing. And they made it seem like the interactions that they were having with their boyfriends was so good. Like I was really missing out on something. But when I did have my experience, I was like, that's it? All that hype. You heard me? The key word is hype. People will hype things up to make you feel like you're losing or missing out on something. Baby, take it from this old lady sitting under the tree. I wouldn't tell you nothing wrong. You ain't missing out on nothing. Sex is good in its proper place, but you ain't missing out on nothing. Now, and if you're adult, do what you want to do. That's not the message. The message is to our young ladies. Because a lot of young girls, they got body counts. But that is not cool. Do you know the wear and tear on your body, having different penises in your vagina? Every man is not built the same. There is some wear and tear. Don't get it twisted. So be wise, young ladies. Everybody should not taste your cookie. Learn how to say no. Don't get me to singing, because y'all know I'll bust out with a song. You are beautiful. Yes, you are. You are beautiful. Your body is special. Don't let anybody have access to it. Bringing the heat listeners. If you would like to support this podcast, you can do so through Cash App at $RWeston252. That's $RWeston 252 under the name Regina Redmond. I would like to thank you for your love and your support. Thank you, Bringing the Heat listeners. To listen to this podcast, go to anchorfm.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, where we bring